Okay, here's the second one he sent me, and this one was more problematic for me. So you can see the kind of the habit of the. This is also a brachythecium. The very first thing I noticed was how green it was, and at least when the light is shining, it's shiny, reflective. And as soon as I put a leaf under the microscope, these were much smaller leaves than that earlier brachythecium, almost little tiny leaves. So here you get a look at the gross features. And then the other thing that popped out is this curving, almost falcate. At least, and there you see it, and there you see it. I have some more here. And so as I looked around, this was on the bottom left. You can see those little tips popping out. I think Mo called attention to those when he showed us pictures and kind of wondered about that. On all of them, you get sort of a flattening. Here it's quite prominent, almost complanate. At least that's kind of what I saw and what popped out at me. I think I have another picture. So here's one section of it where it's hard not to call that flattened in some respects. And you can also see the extended tip there. So nothing immediately popped into mind when I looked at that, except that I thought, okay, green brachythecium. We're in the plumosum group or the velutinum group, but anyway. There's when I looked at the leaves. The tips very commonly were bent like that, and that's what we saw in those earlier pictures. And then I noticed as I looked around a broad costa at the base, and it just narrowed as you moved upward. And here it's a little obscured, but an easily observed costa narrowed as you moved upward. When you get to the tip, it kind of looks like something there, but I could never find a spine sticking out. The most I could find was maybe just almost a semi-prorate tip, kind of just, but nothing that is identifiable as a spine. See if I have some others. And then the serrate margins. These are small leaves. Here's some more. Often would see things like this. And I took those to be not plications, but that's a concave leaf that it folds over. And it's trying to be flattened out. I could be wrong on that, but oops, going the wrong way. Here's another one, and I think this is a concave leaf, and then when you get it onto the slide, it kind of folds over that way. There was a little tiny mite there, so if anybody is an acarologist, you can pick that out. Here's the alar region. Let's see if I have some more. I must have some close-ups. This one is out of focus, and I don't know why I have such a hard time getting those, but here's the broad costa at the base, petering out as you go upward. These are either little plications or concave and some folding. There's the alar region. There are the prominent teeth. So these are all features that come into play. And we can see on the right, the serrate margins. Here's the alar region, but the differentiated cells occur all the way to the costa. So we don't have the same narrow cells down here that we do up here, mid-blade. So at the base of the blade, you've got these large, enlarged cells, not the same as the alar cells, but enlarged. And another feature is that they are clear all the way across. Or they might be some green in there as well from chlorophyll. So I just kind of summarize that. The thing that really stuck out to me when I first looked at it was that shiny green, complimate, leaves spreading, really not julaceous, but tiny leaves. And then you can see the rest of those features there. I kind of put those in for Mo so he'd have something to look at. Didn't have any capsules. I just had a small sample. I'm guessing that Mo didn't have capsules either. So I went to the key. So in the big green book, here's the section where we have these little tiny leaves. I was impressed with this. Did not seem to be Gulacis. It was green. The leaves tended to be spreading, so I jumped past these two and came down here to these. If you start looking at this, you start getting a mix. Leaves falcate secund. Well, we saw some curving out, but not concave. Green across the base. This one is falcate. Not falcate. Costa distinctly narrowing. I kind of summarized this so you don't have to. Oh, where did my summary go? Well, anyway, it came down to these two. So let's take a look at those. Here is from Michael Lewis and Velutinum. So this looks pretty good. The leaf shape looks pretty good. They are much larger than my leaves. Almost always you have capsules in Velutinum, so that didn't help. And also in Velutinum, you have a prominent costa all the way up, especially up in here. It's easy to see. And you have a prominent spine in Velutinum. So it kind of matched some things, but not others. The other choice was plumosum. And so this kind of looked good again. The tip looked pretty good. The costa sort of disappears. It's large here and then narrows here. There is no spine in plumosum, but in plumosum you have rusty colored cells going all the way across. Am I missing somebody's comment? Anybody there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard somebody doing a comment. So that one, it didn't quite seem to fit very well. I put it in a little chart. Here's Mo's plant. Here's the two species. And if it kind of aligned with one, I put an X on that side. The things that stuck out to me, the spine was absent, the tiny leaves. So I was unsatisfied by this. You can find features that fit both of those. So I went back to the key, and here I jumped to Flora North America, and I thought, well, maybe there's something else that has these non-julaceous stems that might fit. And if you look down through this, you come down right next to Velutinum. And one of the problems with Velutinum is that it had a thick costa with a spine. You come to this thing called Trachypodium. Costa thin, and if I remember correctly, it lacks a spine. I'll have to go to the next. So I thought, well, let's look at that one a little bit. So the leaf and the leaf shape looks pretty good, and the costa thins out. The leaves are way too large. So this is about 1.5 millimeters. And it's really not green. I looked at a lot of pictures, and it has this kind of golden look to it. The complanate leaves look kind of like this, flattened with those silver tips. So this wasn't impressing me very much. And here you can kind of compare it with the Trachypodium. I got a little bit excited thinking, oh, we've got a new state record for Colorado, but it kind of disappeared as I just wasn't satisfied, especially the leaf shape again. So you go back to Sherlock Holmes. Once you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, must be the truth. So I went back to the beginning. The improbable to me was this lead. I was so impressed by this feature. Not julaceous, green, the leaf spreading. Well, if you take this lead here, you come down to these two, which I'm pretty familiar with. I don't think of collinum or Fendleri as looking like that, but here's one with a terminal spine absent in collinum. So when I laid out the features, it fits very well in terms of all the leaf features of collinum. Tiny leaves. This one, FNA said basal cells almost undifferentiated. I'm not sure what that meant. In Mo's plant, the basal cells were all shorter and fatter, but matched perfectly the illustration in FNA. Wide variety of habitat. We were up at high elevations. I'm still kind of have a problem with this, but I'm thinking this is just a funny looking collinum. Actually, when I first looked at the leaves under the microscope, I thought, just kind of a fleeting thought, oh, that looks like a collinum leaf. But because of these green, shiny features, I just overlooked it. So I looked at Michael Lewis, and here he does indicate a little bit of a flattened feature there, not perfect perhaps. Small leaves, broad at the base, costa disappearing upward, serrate margins, all these features. This is Moe's plant here. All these features seem to line up much better. So, and then I found one in France that had this kind of leaf here, or shoot with those leaves. So that made me feel a little bit better. So here's our plant. Here's collinum from France. Here's what I think of when I think collinum. So I think that's my last slide. Yeah. So I'm thinking this is probably just a little strange collinum, but I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. We have a strange moss, Brachythecium in Colorado. I think it has bigger leaves than you would like, but it's called Hylotapetum.
I looked at that, yeah, and the leaves were bigger, and I'm trying to remember. I did look at that. I can't remember off the top of my head why I ruled that out.
Yeah, they're complex. That's the only thing I can think of that would.
Yeah. So I'm not totally satisfied, but you know, I was looking at just a small sample, and in France, I guess we might see this, and I bet you if we start looking around, maybe we'll find something that matches up a little bit better.
I think this is Brachythecium Ewing.
I'm sorry?
Brachythecium Ewing.
Ewing.
I guess I'm not catching that. Sorry.
Named after Moe.
Oh, Mo Ewing. Okay, sorry. Let's see. Let me see if I can back out here. Now, how do I get?
Hylotapetum, by the way, is a northwestern endemic. We have it in Colorado in one spot.
So that's what I ended up with, and that whole process was rather typical for me, almost with any moss. It's rare for me to just key something out and then, oh, this must be what it is, first choice. I end up checking all the leads, going back and forth, and so maybe that's a good lesson as well. But I'm going to settle on latifolium for the one and collinum for the other.
Sounds great.
That was really good.
The end and
It
amen.
doesn't look like collinum to me, but
no, it doesn't. Yes. But the leaf features all fit collinum. Once you pull a leaf off, it fits really well. It's that other, you know, gross habit that.
Maybe he kept it in his pocket too long.
Okay, thank you, Kelly.